we are an initiative of the Tony Blair government, Claire Short, when she was in power, and as a permanent secretary at DFID, Secretary of State at DFID. It's been going for about 10 years, and I consider it, and a lot of other people consider it, an immensely successful use of development budgets. You often read a lot of negative press about them, but in this case we support only the private sector in African countries, and we've supported a number of major infrastructure projects that have been completely transformational to people's lives. In particular, the internet cable that was run up from Durban, South Africa through to Djibouti absolutely transformed internet access and reduced the cost of it massively, particularly in Kenya, but throughout Tanzania and that whole Eastern Africa side. We've also financed many satellites that circle over Africa and provide them with a lot of internet access that way, and telephone lines as examples, as well as electricity. So maybe that's a bit lengthy, but I'm putting it in context. Our main thrust, therefore, as an investor is somewhat specialist. We're looking in the main to make commercially properly considered credit judgments to support proper commercial projects. We do it only in the private sector, so we do it with corporate partners or with development partners. We don't do it with governments. However, our aims are mainly, first and foremost, to ensure that projects happen. We use our funds as a catalyst, particularly where other funds are not available, which is quite often the case. And I think we have heard some of that today, that actually, particularly in the frontier market type projects, a big problem is the lack of the ability of real commercial sources of funds, such as the banks or indeed private equity, to get their heads around and to fit these types of projects into their portfolio, their risk structures, and in particular their return criteria. So we were provided as a link by governments to provide that gap in the market. So development and what we call additionality is extremely important to us. What I've heard here today is that actually for those talking about emerging markets, in particular in frontier markets, I think there's a great sense of realism. I've always been concerned about hype around financing. It's a very dangerous kind of emotion that gets in there, and we've seen over the past few years many talks about the wall of private equity that's going to pile into Africa and its new growth frontier and all of that. We have to take that with a pinch of salt and put some realism into it. Africa has considerable requirements, as I hope I illustrated, particularly at the basic level of infrastructure that enables, with that infrastructure, other industries that can take it up to secondary and tertiary levels can flourish. But only and when there's better education systems, better health, better communications, better technology. I've just been talking to a gentleman who's got a bank payment system linked to mobile telephony project in Guinea. That is transformational stuff. That's the kind of thing we want to support and help. And thanks to this conference, I've met this gentleman. I've also met the gentleman from Mali who has been underinvested in and wasn't even aware of our fund. And they've got a lot of electricity supply projects. They've got a rail project that will link them down to Senegal. And so I've picked up on opportunities here where we can truly assist and, well, hopefully truly assist and help transform these countries' prospects and enable other investors, therefore, to come in afterwards when the logistics and infrastructure are in place.